Thank you again for joining me for another presentation coming to you from the light of Zion. As I always say, I'm glad that you were able to then click on this video to listen to it, to watch it, and to be built up by the theme message that you are hearing. I hope you are being edified and being built up in your faith as you listen and watch the videos or message coming from the light of Zion. I know your heart is being kindled with joy because of what our God is doing and because of the revelation that our God is given unto those who are searching for Him. So join me as we break down this presentation. This one is titled, The Who of the Wild Beasts of the Bible. The Who of the Wild Beasts of the Bible. If you have not seen the first part of this presentation, please go and see the first part, which is titled The Wild Beasts of the Bible. The Wild Beasts of the Bible. This is the second, part 2 of this presentation. Please see the first part so that you can understand, follow along to understand the second part of this presentation. So what we are going to, last time we discussed about what a wild beast is that Daniel saw. These are wild beasts that we are formed as the inhabitants of the earth migrate from one place to another and form governments or rulership to rule over the earth. So we are going to go a little bit deeper to find out who these wild beasts of the Bible represented, who they are. Looking at the slide on your picture, you can see we have Egypt as number 1, Assyria, followed by Babylon, followed by the Medo-Persia, followed by the Greece, and then the Romans, and then the Britain, and the United USA. And then the League of the Nation, or the United Nation, is also an 8th king or 8th part of this wild beast that the scripture said will rise up from the earth to rule it and to dominate it. So the who of the wild beast? In the book of Revelation chapter 17 verse 10, there is written, and there are 7 kings, 5 of them have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet arrived. But when he does arrive, he must remain a short while. And the wild beast that was, but is not, it is also an 8th king, but it springs from the 7th, and it goes off into destruction. So who are these wild beasts, and when did they rose up to rule the earth? Which wild beast is the present one? Excuse me. Which wild beast is the present one? These are answers that we will discover as we go along with this presentation. So who are these wild beasts of the Bible that existed? The scripture tells us that there are 8 of these allowed wild beasts, as Yahushua the Christ explained to us through the Apostle John in the book of Revelation. He explained to us there are 8 of them. These 8 wild beasts are Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Romans, the Anglo-American, and the United Nations. It calls for the holy ones for whom the scriptures is written to know who these wild beasts are, to identify them. So these civilizations each succeeded each other after the fall of the one before it. So each one succeeded the one before it. For example, as the Egyptian civilization declined in power, the Assyrian civilization rose up to replace it in power as the ruling government over the earth. Likewise, when Assyrian government civilization declined in power, another government, the Babylonian, rose up to replace it as the dominating power or ruling power over the earth. So let's examine these 8 wild beasts that Yahuwah, our God, allowed to rise up and to rule and to dominate the inhabitants of the earth. Yes, we are going to examine this so that you can know that Yahuwah, our God, is a God that tells the future from the very beginning. As mentioned, the first of these wild beasts that will rise up to rule and dominate the earth is the Egyptian civilization. The pharaohs rose up and dominated the earth inhabitants until their civilization fell on the exit of Israel's descendants from Egypt led by Moses. So their civilization fell as Israel's descendants left Egypt led by Moses. Egypt fell. The template that Yahuwah put upon the Egyptians, he crumbled the nation. Yes, Israel left Egypt and God established them in the promised land he gave to Abraham. So under the Egyptian civilization, Yahuwah allowed the Egyptians to mistreat and to enslave Abraham's chosen descendants, that is Israel's descendants. Yahuwah allowed it so that he can and did demonstrate his power of judgment over his enemies at his appointed time. That's why he allowed these wild beasts to do what? To rise up in power, so that Yahuwah himself can demonstrate his power of judgment over his enemies and over these wild beasts. In the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 17 there is written, "For the scripture says of Pharaoh, for this very reason I have let you remain, to show my power in connection with you, and to have my name declared in all the earth. So then he has mercy on whomever he wishes, but he lets whomever he wishes become obstinate." So Yahuwah allowed for this wild beast to rise up, to rule the earth. And then Yahuwah judges these governments to demonstrate his power. So yes, Yahuwah God, we did magnify his power to judge over the Egyptian civilization, the world power of the wild beast. and he brought it to an end. Yes, he demonstrated his power to judge and to deliver his people. After the destruction and the decline of the power of Egypt over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah God allowed for the rise of the Assyrian civilization, the second world power of the wild beast, to dominate the earth. After settling his chosen children, the Israel descendants, in the promised land, Yahuwah foretold of the rise in power of the Assyrian rulers to dominate the earth and to bruise the heel of God's children. Yes, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of this power, the second world power, Assyria, to rise up to dominate the earth. In fact, Yahuwah said of the Assyrian civilization, he said this in Isaiah chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, is written, "Aha, as the Assyrian, the rod to express my anger, and the staff in my hand, and the staff in their hands for my denunciation. I will send him against the apostate nation, against the people who infuriated me. I will command him to take much spoil and much plunder, and to trample them like mud in the streets." So Yahuwah foretold through the prophet Isaiah of the rise of this second wild beast, the Assyrians. And he said he's going to use them to do what? To discipline Israel, the northern kingdom, the apostate nation. Because the northern kingdom became apostate. They left Yahuwah and started serving idols. So Yahuwah said he's going to bring the Assyrians as the rod in his hand to do what? To punish and to punish Israel, the northern kingdom, for their error. So he will bring them against the people who infuriated him. And he will command them to do what? To take much spoil and to trample the northern kingdom of Israel like mud in the streets. And you remember the Assyrians came and took over the northern kingdom and took them away from the promised land. So, yes, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of this second world power, the Assyrian civilization, to rule and to dominate the earth, the inhabitants of the earth. But this is the second wild beast of the Bible that existed. And looking at the slide, you see the territory that Assyrian ruled over and their image, what is written about them. In the book of Isaiah chapter 8 verse 7 to 8 is written, he said, "Therefore Yahuwah will bring against them the mighty and the vast waters of the river, the king of Assyria and all his glory. He will come up over all his streambeds and overflow all his bank and sweep through Judah. He will float and pass through, reaching to the neck. His outpouring wing will fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel." So yes, it was foretold that Assyria will rise up, that Yahuwah will bring them against his people. Remember in the first presentation of the part of this presentation, One of the characteristics of the wild beasts is that they always do what? Come and take over the land of Israel, the promised land given to Israel. That is one of the characteristics of these wild beasts, that they come and take over the inheritances of Israel, the chosen people. That is the characteristics of the wild beast. So Yahuwah said he will bring this wild beast in other places. He said he will bring the families of the north are made up of this wild beast to come and invade the land of Israel and to take over it. Yes, the Assyrian civilization, the second world power of the wild beast, removed the northern kingdom of Israel away from their promised land. They replaced them with other people such as the Samaritans and the other people that they brought in to take over the land, to replace true Israel descendants from the land. That is the second wild beast. But again, Yahuwah said he will allow this wild beast to rise up, to take over, to rule the earth until an appointed time when he brings judgment on the wild beast. So at the appointed time, Yahuwah judged the second wild beast, and their power declined. So with the destruction and the decline of the power of the Assyrians over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of Babylonian civilization, which is the third world power of the wild beast, to rule and to dominate the earth. So as the power of the Assyrians declined, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of Babylon, the third world power of the wild beast, to rise up and to dominate in power over the inhabitants of the earth. Babylon also invaded the promised land given to Israel's descendants and kept Israel captive for 70 years. Again, one of the characteristics of the wild beasts is that they always invade the land of Israel, the promised land given to Israel, and take over it and rule and dominate. In the book of Daniel, chapter 1, verse 1 to 2, there is written, in the third year of the kingship of King Jehoiakim of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it. In time, Yahuwah gave King Jehoiakim of Judah into his hand, along with some of the utensils of the house of the true God. And he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. He placed the utensils in the treasury of his God. So the second wild beast, the Assyrians removed the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes, out from the land of Israel. They removed them from the land. The third world power, Babylon, took Judah, the southern kingdom, and took them into captivity for 70 years. And they ruled over the land of Israel. Yes, this is what these wild beasts of the scriptures have done. With the destruction and decline of the power of the Babylonians over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of Medo-Persia civilization, which is the fourth world power of the wild beasts, to rule and to dominate the earth. The Medo-Persia also invaded the promised land given to Israel's descendants and kept Israel subdued and subjected to them. In the book of Esther chapter 1 verse 1 to 3 there is written, "Now in the days of Ahasuerus," that is, the Ahasuerus who ruled over 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, in those days when King Ahasuerus was sitting on his royal throne in Shushan, the citadel, in the third year of his reign, he had held a banquet for all the princes and his servants, the army of Persia and Media. The nobles and the princes of the provinces were before him. So yes, the Medo-Persians rose up as the fourth world power to rule and to dominate the earth. And they ruled over the 127 provinces, including the promised land. Yes, remember, as the Israelites, we are subjected to the Medo-Persians. That is the fourth world power, or the fourth wild beast, to rise up to rule the earth, over the earth. And the map showed the territory that they covered in their ruling, or they exercise authority over. But with the destruction and the decline of the power of the Medo-Persians over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of the Greek civilization, which is the fifth world power of the wild beast, to rule and to dominate the earth. So Greece also invaded the promised land given to Israel's descendants and kept Israel's descendants as their slaves. If you read the book of Joel chapter 3 verse 1 to 6, and you will see about this account. In the book of Joel chapter 3 verse 5 and 6 there is written, Yahuwah said, "Because you have taken my silver and gold, and you have brought my finest treasures into your temples, and the people of Judah and Jerusalem you have sold to the Greeks, in order to remove them far from their territory." So this fifth world power, the Grecian civilization, also invaded the land, the promised land given to Israel, and they sold Israelites as slaves to remove them far away from the promised land given to them. Remember, Yahuwah is the one that said, "I allow for this wild beasts of the scriptures to rise up." And through the book of Revelation, Yahushua the Christ is helping us to see that there will be 8 of these wild beasts that will rule the earth before God will do what? Will step in and set up his kingdom and restore his kingdom back to Israel. Yes. With the destruction of the decline in power of the Grecian civilization over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of the Roman civilization, which is the sixth world power of the wild beasts to do what? To rule and to dominate the earth. Yahuwah allowed for the seas to rise up. The Romans also invaded what? The promised land given to Israel descendants, and kept Israel descendants as their slaves. That is the characteristics of these wild beasts. Whenever they rose up, they invade and mistreat the people of God. In the book of Acts chapter 22 verse 26 to 28 there is written, "Well, when the army officer heard this, he went on to the military commander and reported it, saying, 'What are you intending to do? For this man is a Roman.' So the military commander approached and said to him, 'Tell me, are you a Roman?' He said, 'Yes.' The military commander responded, I purchased this right as a citizen for a large sum of money." Paul said, "But I have them by birth." So yes, the Romans also invaded Israel and took it over. Paul said he is a Roman citizen by birth. Yes. As time passed on, with the destruction and the decline of the power of Rome over the earth's inhabitants, Yahuwah allowed for the rise of the Anglo-American civilization, which is the seventh world power of the wild beasts to rule and to dominate the earth. The Anglo-American civilization also invaded the promised land given to Israel's descendants, and kept Israel's descendants as their slaves. The land of Israel's descendants they gave to the people, the Jewish Ashkenazi people, in 1948 to occupy. But they held the true Israel descendants in slavery, just as the wild beasts before them have done. Yes, just like the wild beasts before them, the world powers before them have done. They held the true Israel descendants in slavery and gave the land, the promised land given to the true Israel descendants. They gave it to the Ashkenazi Jews, those who said they are Jews but they are not. They gave them to occupy the land in 1948. Yahuwah is the revealer of every secret counsel and every hidden thing done on this earth. Yes, he sees everything and he knows everything, and he has foretold everything, the things that are happening. For he foretold the rise of these wild beasts he allowed for them to rise up to rule and to dominate the earth until the appointed time when he judges all these wild beasts and brings them to nothing. So, yes, the Anglo-American civilization, which is now existing, is the seventh world power that God allowed to rise up and to rule and to dominate the earth. In the book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 9 to 12 there is written, "If anyone has an ear, let him hear." If anyone is meant for captivity, he will go into captivity. If anyone will kill with a sword, he must be killed with a sword. This is where the call for endurance and faith on the part of the holy ones. So then I saw another wild beast ascending out of the earth, and it had 2 horns like a lamb, but it began speaking like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first wild beast in its sight, and it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first wild beast whose mortal wound was healed. Yes, it was foretold regarding the Israelite descendants. If anyone was meant to go into captivity, he will go into captivity. If anyone was meant to be killed, to kill with the sword, he must be killed with the sword. Many Israel descendants will be killed with the sword by this wild beast that are rising up on the earth. Many will be led into captivity by these wild beasts that are rising up on the earth. God allowed them to rise up on the earth and cause havoc and cause harm. So they will lead many Israel descendants into slavery, and they will put to death many Israel descendants. So whoever was meant to go into captivity will go into captivity of our people. And whoever is meant to be killed with the sword will be killed with the sword. By who? By these wild beasts that are rising up on the earth. But the holy ones, the people of Israel, the true Abraham descendants, has to do what? Endure in faith. Yes, we have to endure in faith until this wild beast appointed time given to them is completed. Yes, until the time given to this wild beast is completed. So regarding the 7th wild beast, it has 2 horns. England and America. And they will give they were given authority to make everyone to worship another beast, wild beast, that has his mortal wound healed. So the Anglo-American civilization, the wild beast with 2 horns, has all the authority of Rome, which is the one before it. And although it looks like a lamb, but it speaks as a dragon because he has power in his mouth to cause harm. But he will make all the inhabitants of the earth to worship the earth wild beast. Which has his mortal wound healed. And we are going to find out what this earth wild beast is. The United Nations civilization of the world of the wild beasts of the Bible that now exists. The final and the earth civilization to rule over the inhabitants of the earth has no authority of its own, except what is given to it to act by the 7th wild beast, which is the Anglo-American world power. The earth-wide world power will exercise authority along The earth wild beast will exercise authority over the inhabitants of the earth, alongside the seventh world power, that is the Anglo-American civilization. It has authority. Its authority will only last for a short while. Yes, the earth wild beast is the United Nations. It's a world government to rule over the inhabitants of the earth, to decide what goes on. It really has no power except what the seventh wild beast, which is the Anglo-American civilization, gives to it. But this wild beast, earth wild beast, will exercise authority alongside with the seventh and the earth, and alongside with the seventh world power. When the earth wild beast gets full authority, it will last only but what? A short while. That is what Yahuwah God has revealed to his servants through Yahushua the Christ. So in the book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 13 to 15, there's written, "And he performed great signs, even making fire come down out of heaven to the earth in the sight of mankind," that is the seventh wild beast, through their atomic weapons and nuclear energies and all that. They will make fire come down from heaven, rain down on people. It misleads those who dwell on the earth because of the signs that it was permitted to perform in the sight of the wild beast, while it tells those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the wild beast that had the short stroke and yet revived. It was permitted to it to give breath to the image of the wild beast, so that the image of the wild beast should both speak and cause to be killed all those who refuse to worship the image of the wild beast. Yes, time is coming when the seventh world power, the Anglo-American world power, will give authority to the earth wild beast, that is UN, to cause everybody on earth to do what? To worship this image of the wild beast. It is an image because it's a reflection of the wild beast before it, a way of governing and ruling over the inhabitants of the earth. That is what the UN, the earth world power, is. But right now it has no full authority except what the seventh wild beast gives to it. But time will come when they will allow and force everyone on earth to do what? To worship this image of the wild beast, which is the earth world power. And they will kill all those who refuse to do what? To adhere to the decisions or authority of the earth wild beast, which is the image of the wild beast. So yes, the earth wild beast is an image or a reflection, not the real thing. It's a reflection of the wild beast, a world power government before it. And they will force everyone on earth to do what? To adhere to the authority of the earth wild beast, the image. the book of Daniel chapter 2 verse 44, it is written, "In the days of those kings, the God of heavens will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, and this kingdom will not be passed on to any other people. It will crush and put an end all these kingdoms, and it alone will stand forever." Yes, the eighth wild beast. The eighth wild beast is made up of what? Of many kingdoms or governments put together. In the day when this eighth wild beast received authority or power, in the days of these kings or the kingdoms that God allowed to rule, Yahuwah then will set up his own kingdom that will crush and put an end all these other kingdoms. So yes, Yahuwah the judge of the earth will again magnify his power to rule and to set matters straight on the earth. Yes, he will magnify himself above every government and authority, and he will give rulership to the one that he has chosen. In the book of Revelation chapter 5 verse 10, there it is written, regarding the holy ones, it's written, "And you made them to be a kingdom and priest to our God, and they are to rule as king over the earth." So the God of heaven will set up his own kingdom that will crush and put an end every other kingdoms and authority. And God's kingdom with the holy ones of Israel descendants will take over the rulership of the earth. Yes, Yahuwah God is the one doing all things, and he has foretold the future from the beginning. Yahushua the Christ told us that there will be 8 wild beasts that God allowed to rule, ascend the earth and to rule over it and to dominate it until the time when our God gives over the rulership of the earth to the holy ones of Israel descendants, for them to do what? To establish his God's kingdom on earth. In the book of Daniel chapter 7 verse 11 to 14, there is written, "I kept watching at that time because of the sound of arrogant words that the horn was speaking. I watched until the beast was killed and his body was destroyed, and it was given over to be burned in the fire. But as for the rest of the beasts, their rulership were taken away, and their lives were prolonged for a time and a season. I kept watching in the vision of the night, and look, with the clouds of the heavens, someone like the Son of Man was coming, and he gained access to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him up close before that one, and to him they were given rulership, honor, and a kingdom that the peoples, nations, and language groups should all serve him. His rulership is an everlasting rulership that will not pass away, and his kingdom will not be destroyed." Yes, so Yahuwah is the one paying attention and watching. At the appointed time, he will give the rulership of the earth to his Son, Yahushua the Christ to rule over all things. And he will bring an end to every other rulership, and the authority of the wild beasts will be taken away. Yes, the kingdom territory of Yahuwah, the God of heaven, the promised land, when it is restored back to the holy ones of Israel, descendants, will never again be destroyed, but will last forever. That kingdom will be restored forever in the fourth generation of Israel descendants in the promised land. For in the book of Genesis chapter 15 verse 16 there is written, "But they will return here in the fourth generation, because the era of the Amorite has not yet reached its full measure." And Yahuwah God is a God that tells the future from the beginning. He has foretold that Israel descendants will return back to the promised land in the fourth generation, in the promised land, to inherit it forever. In the book of Amos chapter 9 verse 11 to 12 there is written, "In that day I will raise up the boat of David that is fallen. I will repair the breaches, and I will restore its ruins. I will rebuild it as in the days of long ago, so that they may take possession of what is remaining of Edom and all the nations on whom my name has been called, declares Yahuwah, who is doing this." So again, Yahuwah has foretold from the beginning what the future outcome will be. He is the one that allowed these wild beasts, 8 of them, to rise up to rule the earth and to dominate it. And each of these wild beasts that rises up takes over the land, the promised land that he gave to Israel descendants to inherit, the holy ones. But at the appointed time, Yahuwah will do what? Will take out, and he will judge all the wild beasts, and he will give authority to his son, and he will establish his kingdom and restore it over the earth. And he will give ruling authority back to the holy ones of Israel. Again, let him that has understanding understand what our God is doing. Let him that is given endure until the end.